Therein lies the remains of Muhammadu Buhari. There is no grand mausoleum or gigantic monument of marble to mark the final resting place of the former Nigerian military leader and highly revered democratic president, except for this modest grave, marked by the simplicity that defined the man. He was a man of many parts. He was a son, a husband, and a father. He was also the soldier who became a democrat, a disciplinarian who empowered the ordinary people. And whether you loved him or otherwise, what is certain is that the legacy of Muhammadu Buhari can never be ignored. He was born on these grounds on December 17, 1942, at the Fulani settlement of Dumurkwal, in the outskirts of the famous Hausa city of Daura.
Tunga da wancan ɗan gazarin da kake gani wancan ƙaramin da wannan da wa'annan duk abubuwan da kake gani a kufan gidansu ne. Inda aka haifi mahaifin shi har ya rasu, shi kanshi anan aka haife shi.
Growing up in a world of Fulani tradition and colonial order, Muhammadu Buhari's education was a force of will and determination. It spanned the Quranic tutelage of his mother Zulaihatu to the colonial discipline of Government College Katsina, where he finished as head boy.
Somebody who commanded respect from his classmates and his teachers. He was even the head boy of the city when there he graduated.
At that level, education taught young Buhari that order, duty, and excellence were not mere topics in the classroom, but critical components of life.
Da ya gama karatu ko aikin kwana ɗaya bai ba, sai ya ce mini in zo in faɗi ma tsohuwanmu shi soja zai tafi. Na ce soja Buhari? Ya ce na ce aje a kashe ka. Ya fi ni wayo. Sai ya ce ai ba wani abu za a yi mu a ofis za mu zamana. Sai na zo na gawa tsohuwa ta ce to.
And so in 1961, the boy from Daura chose a path that would eventually thrust him into global limelight. He found his calling in the regimented lines of the Nigerian military. It was an institution that promised structure, duty, and a clear chain of command, attributes he embraced and nurtured through time.
The best you could describe him is to say that he is a proper trained soldier.
Right from the second lieutenant up to the time he rose to become a general, has really been a strict disciplinarian and accountable officer.
Rising steadily and meritoriously through the ranks of the Nigerian army, Buhari became the military governor of northeastern state, made up of today's entire northeast in 1975 at the young age of 33. He held that role before becoming Federal Commissioner for Petroleum in 1976 and later head of state in 1983.
However, the Nigerian people watched helplessly while over the succeeding 4-year period of the first term of the defunct administration, most of government of the Federation failed to provide even the minimum of good government.
We knew there was insecurity, we knew there was corruption, we knew there was all sorts of vices within the society. Once we establish that, then we begin to look for the man who is fit, who is capable to provide solutions to some of these problems. And at that time, Buhari fit in very well because he was a good soldier, quite honest.
Firm in principles and nationalistic in outlook, the Buhari Idiagbon regime gave Nigeria direction, with Africa as the centerpiece of its foreign policy.
The core is the defense of Nigeria's security, Nigeria's prosperity and welfare of its citizens. And then in relation to that, relationship with our immediate neighbors, and then with ECOWAS, and then with, of course, the continent as a whole and the rest of the world.
Ousted in a bloodless coup on August 27, 1985, Buhari returned to the land as a full-time farmer and pastoralist. But in the mid-90s, his acclaimed uprightness and integrity got him an invite back to public life to lead the Petroleum Trust Fund, PTF, set up by the Abacha regime. Devoid of uniform, yet armed with resources and a clear mandate, the PTF under Buhari built infrastructure with an efficiency Nigeria had never seen. It proved he could deliver development on a national scale with commitment and rectitude that became the cornerstone of his political parable.
Because if you don't do it,
Muhammadu Buhari's political journey was an exercise in stubborn endurance. He ran for election as president 3 times and lost. But with each failure, the legend about him intensified. Buhari became the idea and symbol of the Nigerian who could not be bought. In 2015, the idea won after the successful merger of opposition parties. Muhammadu Buhari became Nigerian president.
I, Muhammadu Buhari, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
However, the newly inaugurated president inherited a nation in crisis. Insecurity had peaked, with several communities in Nigeria already under the control of non-state actors. Corruption had embedded itself deeply in public governance and appeared to defy solution. On the economic front, the nation was on its knees struggling, arising from one of the worst ever global slumps in oil prices and government's financial mismanagement. 2015 was a perfect storm, and Buhari became the manager. As president, Buhari understood the imperatives for national security as the baseline for development. He began by moving the military command to the heart of the conflict in Maiduguri. And with increased funding and new equipment, the fight against insurgency and banditry gained momentum and urgency.
Alpha Syria, how do you read it?
The tide turned, and the results were good. Suicide bombings in the cities stopped. A total of 14 local government areas were freed from Boko Haram's grip, pushing the infamous group into remote corners of Sambisa forest. On corruption, Muhammadu Buhari unleashed Nigeria's anti-graft agencies at full throttle. For the first time, the campaign was not just for those considered small fries, but many high-ranking public officials, including governors, legislators, and ministers, were investigated, tried, and some went to jail. Before long, everyone got the memo. Under Buhari, no one was above the law. His administration unveiled programs like the Anchor Borrowers Fund, which put money directly in the hands of 1.5 million smallholder farmers. He took the tough decision to close the borders, pushing Nigerians to eat what they grew. The result was an astonishing rise in local production capacity. The Buhari administration also built infrastructure across Nigeria like never before. Such projects like the Second Niger Bridge, critical new highways and railways are legacy projects of President Buhari. Muhammadu Buhari also signed the historic Petroleum Industry Act to modernize Nigeria's oil and gas sector. His administration championed and funded the massive Ajaokuta-Kano-Kaduna AKK gas pipeline project. Managing an already ailing economy through unprecedented storms like the global COVID-19 pandemic, 2 economic recessions, and oil prices that literally collapsed was never going to be easy. But Buhari rose to the occasion. his administration created the monumental social safety net program. By the end of his 2 terms, over 1 trillion naira reached the poorest and most vulnerable through cash transfers, job programs for young people, and loans for traders. Through it all, Muhammadu Buhari's personal reputation for integrity rebuilt Nigeria's standing in the global community. Most leaders sought him out, not just for Nigeria's size, but for his word.
Buhari comes into office with a reputation for integrity and a very clear agenda.
One of the profound final political acts of Muhammadu Buhari was to ensure his party retained power in a fiercely contested 2023 election. And when it was time to leave, he handed over a nation that was, despite the many challenges, more secure, more self-sufficient in food, and imprinted with tangible markers of progress. He returned home to Daura a fulfilled man, at peace with himself and his environment, receiving stream of visitors, including former presidents, governors, and everyday Nigerians who came to pay their respects. But what he loved most was tending to his cattle and relaxing in the settee under his favorite shade spot. The amiable statesman also devoted more quality time to members of his loving family. Not long after he moved to his long-term residence in Kaduna, President Muhammadu Buhari went to London for summer holiday and was even sighted in park alongside his daughter before he took ill seriously. Muhammadu Buhari died quietly in a private clinic in London. The news shook the nation's foundations. Nigeria's better-known symbol of change is no more. The iconic Muhammadu Buhari passed on at the age of 82. He was committed to Mother Earth amid full military honors at his favorite shade spot on Tuesday, July 15, in his ancestral town of Daura, Katsina State.
Made to honor a man whose presence once commanded his very room, whose voice once summoned the best in us, and whose conviction never doubt. Even the strongest winds of public opinion, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, former head of state and former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has gone to rest.
In life, Muhammadu Buhari measured himself against his duty and commitment to serve the people. And in death, history continues to measure the distance and the impact of his time here on earth.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.